The greatest moment at Wrigley Field took place on April 27, 1961. Wrigley Field opened in 1925 and was the home to one of minor league baseball's elite teams, the Los Angeles Angels. They had already made a name for themselves as one of the best teams in the history of the Pacific Coast League, and would continue that tradition in their new ballpark, winning 8 pennants and 5 league titles before relocating to Spokane in 1958. Wrigley was also the home of the Hollywood Stars for several years, who would win 2 pennants playing there. Aside from hosting 2 minor league teams, the park was also a popular place to film baseball movies, which included The Pride of the Yankees and Angels in the Outfield, and it even served as the backdrop for the Home Run Derby. Then, after the Brooklyn Dodgers moved to Los Angeles in 1958, Wrigley Field would get Major League Baseball for the first time in 1961, hosting one of baseball's first expansion teams, the Los Angeles Angels. The team, led by talented players such as Steve Bilko, Leon Wagner, and Ken McBride, would win their first game on April 11th in Baltimore. They would lose their next 7 games, but on April 9th, they would play their home opener against the Minnesota Twins. After a scoreless first, the Angels would strike in the second on a home run by Earl Averill to take a 2-0 lead. Angels starter Eli Gerba would cruise through 5 innings, giving up just 1 run, and in the bottom of the 5th, the Angels had a chance to give him some insurance. With 1 out, Albie Pearson reached third on an error, and Ken Aspromonte walked to put runners at the corners for the dangerous Ted Kluszewski. The big Clue would hit into a double play to end the inning. The double play would be pivotal because in the top of the 6th, Gerba would get into trouble, putting 2 runners on with just 1 out and bringing up Earl Batty. Batty would homer to put the Twins on top 4-2. However, the Angels would not go down quietly. In the bottom of the 7th, Gene Leake would lead off with a double, and 1 out later, pinch hitter Leon Wagner would single to put runners at the corners for Albie Pearson. Pearson would hit a ground ball to first baseman Don Mincher. Leake would try to score from third, but Mincher would throw him out. With runners now at first and second with 2 out, Ken Aspromonte would come to the plate, but would ground out to end the inning. The Angels would threaten again in the bottom of the 8th, when Ted Kluszewski led off with a single, and after 1 out, Steve Bilko singled to put the tying run on second base. After pitching 7 1/3 strong innings, Twins starter Camilo Pascual was taken out and relieved by Ray Moore, whose first hitter would be Earl Averill. Averill's home run in the second had amounted for the Angels' only runs, and he was hoping to get another clutch hit, but Moore would retire him on a pop-up, and then retire Gene Leake to end another threat. The Twins would then threaten to tack on some insurance runs in the top of the 9th. With 1 out, Zoilo Versalles would single and steal second, and 1 out later, Don Mincher would walk to bring up the dangerous Bob Allison, but Allison would ground into a forced play to retire the side, and with the Angels having threatened in the previous 2 innings, there was a good chance that a 1-run lead wasn't going to be enough. After Faye Throneberry was retired on a fly ball to lead off the inning, Fritz Brickell would single to bring the winning run to the plate and Albie Pearson. Moore would get Pearson to fly out, and Aspromonte would come to the plate as the Angels' last hope. He would walk to send the tying run to second, and now with the winning run on base, Ken Hunt, who would have a career year, came to the plate with a chance to be a hero. With the crowd of 11,931 on their feet, Hunt would hit a fly ball deep into right field, but it would be caught by Bob Allison to end the game. Even though the Angels had lost their home opener, they still showed a lot of promise and would give fans a lot to cheer about that year, winning a remarkable 70 games with a .435 winning percentage, which remains to this day as the highest winning percentage ever for a first-year expansion team. But as good as the Angels' first season was, the best was yet to come. 1961 would be the Angels' only season at Wrigley Field, and the next season they would move to Chavez Ravine and be surprise contenders in their first season there. After relocating to Anaheim in 1966, the team, known now after a series of name changes as the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, would become a baseball dynasty and eventually rival the Dodgers in attendance. Since moving to Anaheim, the team has had many great franchise players, including a Rookie of the Year, 2 American League MVPs, and 2 Cy Young winners, and have also won 7 division titles, including a wild card berth, and in 2002 they will win their first ever World Series.